Well, let's have an honest conversation about Galamsey. That's what the president said we should be doing. Erastus Asare Donkor is my colleague with Love FM in Kumasi. He put together a documentary not too long ago. The defense minister's vetting last week, that came up. They played some 4 minutes of that documentary in that vetting session. Erastus joins me via Zoom. Erastus, good morning.
Good morning, Mama V.
Congratulations to you. I know that we're battling with some matters in courts, but the substance of this matter came up at the vetting, and your documentary was also showed for the entire world to see, and they asked the defense minister designate some questions. First of all, let me ask you, just give us a brief about this documentary that you did, and tell us about the situation. And I don't want us to get into the matters that are being dealt with in courts. So let's be careful about this one.
Right, Mama V. So we had been given the opportunity of following a task force set up by the Environment Ministry way back in October. In fact, I've been following this task force since the interministerial dates. At a point in time, the leader of this particular task force was asked to step aside, and then in October last year, he was asked to take up the mantle again and start the job. So I had the opportunity of being embedded on that team. So as we go around, I try to document the devastation on the ground, what is happening with regards to illegal mining, and then I'm able to also find out the players in this whole saga. So that is how I got to follow the team. And so I've been documenting what I've been finding in the bush there from time to time. So if you check, I've done quite a number of those reports. This is one of them.
Okay. And how was the feeling like when this issue came up? I mean, the members, one of them specifically apparently put forward this video so that it could be played in Parliament, and they played, I think it was about 4 minutes of your piece that they played in Parliament. What was the feeling when that was being played?
I must say I was surprised, and again I was happy that the Honorable Muntaka will want to put this up for the whole world to see, make it topical for us to talk about. Because Mama V, this is something that is happening to the future of our natural resources. If you go into the bush and you see how harmful chemicals are being washed directly into water bodies, you see how our forests are being pillaged, and the peanuts they pay to the state. And this is a resource that is to be preserved for future generations to come. We are destroying it, not only destroying it, we are not getting anything out of it, any meaningful thing out of it as a nation, and nobody seems to care. And so I was happy that finally somebody thinks that this should be made topical, this should be brought to a national stage. Let's talk about it. And it's gotten people talking. I think that all of us as a people should take active interest because we are continuously depleting the resource. It will take years to fix the damage that is being caused to the environment in the bushes there. And it's time we had a national conversation about that.
Absolutely, Erastus. I want us to play back the defense minister designate's response after this video was shown at the vetting committee last week.
I don't agree that the military has failed us in the fight against Galamsey. I think that you have the experience because you were Minister for Lands and Forestry before. You were Environment, and you know the extent to which Galamsey had almost consumed this country shortly before you left office. And the military stepped in to do what they needed to do. Last year, January, I felt that the military had achieved what they were asked to achieve. That's what I asked them to move out. Like you stated before yesterday, Galamsey has been with us for a long time, but it is the nature of the current system where we go and use excavators to destroy our water bodies, to destroy the environment that is posing the problem. But for our local people who go and use cutlasses and hoes to just go and collect some small minerals, I don't think that should have been a problem for us. We don't want also to keep your military in the forest. Then you are not helping the military, you are not helping the people of Ghana. You want them to do a surgical operation and come out, And so if there is a need to do a surgical operation for the military in terms of what the president has said, because he said, let's have a conversation on Galamsey. So if there's a need to do a surgical operation, the military will do a surgical operation and come on. But I am not in favor of keeping the military in the forest for a very long time to fight the Galamsey activities. I think that's not the best way to go. And I think that the nation will support me on that call.
All right, so that's Dominic Nitiwuda insisting that the military has not failed in this fight against Galamsey. Erastus, so what's the situation, after the piece that you put together?
Well, I've had quite some visitations from the military high command. First, there were members of the military intelligence who came to me, interviewed me in the presence of my news editor. I also had a visit from the military police hierarchy, led by the commander himself, one Colonel Ayarongo. He came to my office in the presence of my manager, Jim Agla, to get first-hand information from me. They say they are investigating this whole saga. I've had calls from a number of people, including some international journalist associations, who were interested in my safety after that, airing that report. I've had a lot of calls from colleague journalists and other security agents who want me to be careful and all that. So it's quite a lot to take in, but we are managing.
Okay, so I guess those visits and the conversations, would buttress the point that the minister-designate, revealed in Parliament to the effect that they're investigating the matter of military involvement because per a directive issued, they were supposed to pull out of most of these mining concessions. Well, Erastus, listen, congratulations again. Please take care of yourself. We like the fact that you're still on this matter, and we will see where this develops to.
I'm grateful, Mama.
All right. Erastus Asare Donkor is my colleague with Love FM in Kumasi. Still staying with this matter, Darrell Bosu, a deputy national director at Arocha Ghana, which is an environmental agency, if you like, had a sit-down conversation with Benjamin Akpakpo. Here, excerpt of that.
Let's look at one of those areas that we've spoken about, time without number. I'm talking about Galamsey.
Yeah.
It's a very thorny issue, looking at the different dynamics, the people involved, what benefits there are to common folk, but again, the impact on the environment. Now you can look at Wassa Donkwa or Tabosre in the western region. We've seen recently 14 and 7, Chinese illegal miners arrested, respectively, in those areas. You can talk about the Amansia Central District in the Ashanti region. Some of these places are hotbeds for some of these activities. Are we making any gains, any strides against Galamsey?
Interestingly, Galamsey is as a result of people trying to have access to natural resources. Whilst it should end up being a positive impact on our lives, it turned out that going for the gold has really ended all of us in this very bad state. So, as we all know, minerals also constitute part of our natural resources, and somehow they are situated in a very, I would say, important way, really under the earth. But most of us and the things we do is depending on the land, the water, and we're able to do our crops on the land. But right now, Galamsey is an activity that goes for the mineral which is under the soil. And as a result, people, when they are going for it, they end up destroying what is on the surface and even what is holding the surface together and go ahead to do that. And that is how come Galamsey, even though it's a natural resource, we also as a people have every right to access it. It has become rather a curse unto us because we have not put in place the real and critical measures, legal frameworks and policies. I would say that at the moment, we have some regulatory frameworks in place. policy on how people should have access to minerals in the land, for big companies, for small scale. But like you said, if you go around all of these countries, all the various regions that we're talking about, people are going after the gold without adhering to existing policy and legal frameworks. Until we unveil the faces behind these people, Galamsey will always be with us.
That is going to be difficult because recently, even in Tabusri, you would hear certain names being mentioned, and that wouldn't be the first time. People have said time without number that there are certain hidden faces,
yes,
big men and women,
yes,
so to speak,
yes,
behind the push, which is why maybe we've never been able to push enough when it comes to the fight against Galamsey. But this is how crucial it is, to the point where the president, put his presidency on the line and said that he wanted that to be looked at. He wanted to even be assessed based on his performance on that. Recently, we saw the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining getting dissolved, being moved from the Ministry of Science, Technology, and all of that to the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Professor Frimpong Boateng, under whom that committee worked. How would you assess, though it is defunct now, what gains do you feel were made under that regime?
I will say, in brief, the intention was excellent. It was good. And I have to say, the president was actually exuded in every Ghanaian the confidence that we could actually deal with Galamsey. I have never heard any president of this Fourth Republic stand up during his investiture and say all those beautiful things he said about the environment and the fact that we need to secure the natural heritage bequeathed to us. He said all of that, and the intention to set up the Interministerial Committee was also great. But the question is, that intention, we didn't see it translate into the outcomes that we were all seeking for.
Let's focus on some of the environmental impact. I'll focus on water. What do you know about the state of pollution of our water bodies? What is the state of our water bodies in Ghana?
I will give you a classical example to answer that question. I often do a lot of road trips from, say, Accra to Kumasi, sometimes to the north, because of the work we do. And I can say confidently that in the last 6 years, I have not seen any stream, mainstream body of water that is clean. All of them are polluted. And that is the same observation you see if you go to the central region, drive you through the western region, you talk about the Pura, talk about the tunnel thing, most of these. So reading also about the current also interest by Ghana Water Company, really employing the Ministry of Lands and the state agencies to ensure that we deal with Galamsey, because, as they say, it is really impacting on. And this morning, I was reading an article where they said that if we are not very careful, within the next 5 to 10 years, Ghana is really going to have issues. And you also mentioned the issue of some of the impact. And I have to say, when you talk about Galamsey, there are a lot of impacts, negative impacts that we experience. Cocoa farms are destroyed, yes, but there's another aspect that we also need to look at. The pollution of the water body also has this element of all these heavy metals that go with this water pollution.
All right, Dara Bosu is a Deputy National Director, Arocha, Ghana. Let's go back on Zoom now and have a conversation with the convener, Media Coalition Against Galamsey, Dr. Ken Ashigbe. Apologies there that you have to hold for a while. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. Hello, Dr. Ashigbe.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for your time. The president has charged us to have an honest conversation. I don't know if that call is a bit too late because of all the interventions that he tried to put in place, but obviously he failed. But it's just on the back of the defense minister designate's appearance in Parliament and Erastus's piece that was played. Erastus has told us this morning that he's had quite a number of visits from the military, so they're truly investigating the military's involvement in guarding some of these mining concessions. First of all, what's your reaction on the kind of questions related to Galamsey put before the nominee?
Well, I think the questions were good. If you had left it for me, I'm sure there are quite a follow-ups I would have done, because If you take Erastus's case, for example, and then the minister designate says that the military were professional, and that in that video there was nowhere that he saw military people taking orders from...
Okay, Dr. Ashigbe, we're having challenges with the Zoom, so we're going to just make it a phone call so we can hear you properly, if you don't mind. Hello, Dr. Ashigbe. Okay, my director, please help me so we can do a phone call and have this conversation. He's convener, Media Coalition Against Galamsey, and he's just been saying, right, okay, Dr. Ashigbe.
Hi, Mama.
Yes, please, can you start? You said you would have done some follow-ups.
Well, yes, I think the committee generally, I think, has been good in terms of the kind of questions that are being asked of the nominees who appear before them. And I think that the nominee for Minister for Defense has a lot more, and he could have given a lot more better answers. And based on what I know, I'm sure I would have asked a bit more questions. Because when he says that the military are professional, I agree, the military are generally professional. But the military are made up of people. And if for that the military high command did not know that large number of military people were based in the forest, when there has been a cabinet direction that should not happen, that definitely is a failure. And he also says that in the video we did not see a civilian giving instructions to military people and they following up. Then he definitely did not watch the video. Because if he watched the video, he would have known that it was said that there was a civilian who was there who gave instruction for the military people for them to delete the videos that the media team had. And they actually did that. And as we speak, the media coalition has petitioned the military high command, asking questions of that, how the military could have stood by and allowed some civilians to have attacked, journalists, have destroyed their property, have deleted videos that they have collected. And we are asking what it is that they actually are doing about that. And, for me, I think that the military, when the Operation Vanguard had its own challenges, but definitely they also had their positives as well. But we definitely all need to agree, and I agree with the Arusha gentleman, that the president was well-intentioned, but the execution of this project and the outcomes that we have had, to the extent that the president has dissolved belatedly the interministerial committee and then asking us for a dialogue, tells us that definitely the intention does not translate to the outcomes that we want. And it is important that we ensure that we execute properly. If you want to really measure the interministerial committee, what we should do is to go and take their roadmap, what they actually said that they would do, and find out how much of that they did. It's definitely, if I was grading them as an academic, it was definitely abysmal. They had very good plans that they had put on the ground, but very little of that has been done. Our water bodies are still polluted as we speak. Where Erastus went to, we know that they had a prospecting license. We also know that they have been granted a lease. But we have been told authoritatively by the EPA that they don't have a permit to mine. But what we saw in that video definitely was not prospecting, which means that they were mining without an EPA permit. And what is being done to them as we speak? What are the powers that be after that video that has happened? Have they been brought to book? I am not too sure about that.
So
we still not, yes.
So let me ask, you said you petitioned the military high command. Have they answered those questions?
They have not even acknowledged receipt, apart from the person who signed to have received we have not had an acknowledgement of their receipt. We're just giving them some time. We have done a search as the Registrar General. We know the directors who own the property. We went to the Minerals Commission. We had to pay $500 to be able to do a search on the same company. They've come back to us telling us that they were granted a mining lease. We went to the EPA, asked questions, and did a search. We have received feedback from the EPA, and the EPA were very, very professional about it. They told us everything that it is. They have provided us all the information. We have written to the Forestry Commission, who gave them an entry permit with particular conditions. They've told us that we'll be getting a response from them. So this is not an issue that as media we're going to let go. And we are definitely going to support the president to be able to do this. But the various ministers who are being appointed now, including the Minister for Defense, and then the Minister for Natural Mines and Natural Resources, they need to do better than what the previous ministers did. And I am so happy that the president did not appoint the chairperson of the Interministerial Committee, because that he definitely was one of the reasons why we are where we are today. And these ministers who are coming need to ensure that they up their game, because unfortunately for us, the president well-intentioned, they started well when the political blackmailers started pushing, and we know what happened. The MPP lost a lot of seats in some of these areas that have mining going on. We also saw the NDC actually supporting, the Galamsey. So if you are not too careful, these people now will be very emboldened. So this is the time for the media to put a lot of pressure, and we need to bring everybody on the table. Yeah. This thing has to be a bipartisan thing. We need to have both the NDC, the MPP, together with civil society, with the media, everybody, so that we can find actual solutions. Let Ghanaians be able to mine, but mine responsibly and mine sustainably, so that we don't endanger our today and our future.
But Dr. Kelashigbe, how can the media alone win this fight when, even at the level of the presidency, it hasn't succeeded? If you listen to Erastus, he's been receiving threatening calls and things like that. People are even worried for his own life. So how do we do it? We don't have state security protecting us.
Yes, I completely agree with that. And the issue of Erastus is something that is very true, and it's something that we're working on, and definitely would ask the police, would ask the security agents to provide him all the security that is required for him to be able to do his job. Journalism is not a crime, and it's the reason why the petition has gone to the Military High Command, and it's the reason why I would be urging Multimedia that we should petition the Media Commission as soon as possible about these issues of these threats. And yes, I agree, the media alone cannot. And yes, we are the fourth estate of the realm. We hold leadership to account, but we are a very important catalyst. And it's the reason why the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, we are trying to expand it and bring other stakeholders on board so that together we all would be able to do this. But I think the media has done more than enough. What we need to do is that we need to see the other arms of government also rising up to the occasion. We need to see the executive do more than they have done. We need to see, and another challenge we have is the judiciary. They have also been a failure when it comes to this particular fight. The number of cases that have gone to the courts and the way they've been handled. I remember in the past, the Media Coalition even petitioned where some of these judges were, applying minimum sentences that were applicable to Ghanaians, to foreigners, when the laws say otherwise. And we really did not get that response. I'm not too sure. The former Attorney General did not do a good job in supporting us, and it is important the new Attorney General who is coming will do a better job at it. I was not too impressed about his answers either at, when it came to the Galamsey issues, saying that, if you take a typical example of the Nolly Prosper, yeah, it's true. The Supreme Court has said they don't need to give us, a reason why they did it. But when you come to issues of national importance and national significance, where your actions then tend to demotivate those who are actually wanting to fight this. And you know this is a particular thing that the president has actually put his whole presidency on. Then what happened? And I'm also happy that the senior minister was not reappointed. He was one of the challenges with that particular, his answers for explaining the Nolly Prosequa was also completely unfortunate. And so I'm hoping that the Attorney General would also do a better job than his predecessor did.
Okay.
We need also Parliament also to be showing examples. Areas in which we have galamsey still happening, and we have parliamentarians still in there and not also doing anything. They also are contributing to the failures that we see. So all of us have roles to play. The media will play its role, but you say very rightly that we don't have the coercive powers of state. So the intelligence community, we need to see what we saw at the beginning when Peter Mewu was minister, where we saw a report from the intelligence office pointing out people. That is what we need to do. The challenge we have in this particular thing is that politicians, influential people are the reasons why galamsey is continuing. It is not the poor people who are in the pits. They are not the problem. It is because there are very influential people who are involved in this, and includes politicians, it includes rich business people. Until we are able to use the powers of state to confront these people, this thing will not stop. And we can promise them as media, whatever legal power we have, with support of the lawyers who are supporting us, we will do our bit. So that tomorrow when they come mentioning those who failed, at least we would have done our bit. And I'm hoping that other people, including the president who has called all of us to have a bipartisan national debate, will bring everybody together and will be able to ensure that Ghanaians will be able to mine sustainably, but will not destroy the environment.
Great. Well, Dr. Kanashigbe, we will leave it here, but thank you for still, for the passion that you have on this particular subject matter. We'll be having plenty more conversations in the future. Kanashigbe there is convener Media Coalition Against Galamsey. We will have to pick this conversation up sometime in the future.